Yo, what's good, y'all? Back with another vid. It's your boy ETG, and we got a Glokk40spaz video about his life, I guess.
An artist that's easily had one of the most impressive yet troublesome come-ups in the underground to date. From getting heavily involved in the street politics of Atlanta, to then having multiple run-ins with the police and getting snitched on, all the way to then releasing some of the hardest underground tapes dropped over the last few years and getting a record deal from one of the biggest names in music. And then, right as he would start to get on the right path and stray away from the streets and start realizing the insane potential behind his music, he would get locked up on some extremely serious charges that, if convicted, could lead to his—
Hold on, that was like 5.
behind his music. He would get locked up on some extremely serious charges.
Damn. While on bond. That's crazy. 2 times armed robbery. That's 2. Aggravated assault. Hijacking. Battery. Possession of intent. This nigga playing GTA. What the fuck? What the fuck? This nigga think he Michael DeSantis,
that,
nigga,
if convicted, could lead to a sentence being nearly
nigga gangbanging in prison. No, I'm joking, but
20+ years long. However, even after getting into such a serious situation, his reputation, numbers, and extremely dedicated fan base is pretty much as large as it's ever been, and continues to grow almost every single day. Which ultimately leads me to the question of, where did Glokk40spaz start?
Niggas that get you going, it ain't nothing I call them vamps. I ain't stupid, I can't fall for no damn trump.
And before we get into this video, I want to put a disclaimer that although I usually try to avoid talking about street-related topics, to fully cover Glock's story, it's pretty hard to avoid, especially into the later parts of his story. But getting back on track, let's cover the first question of, where did Glokk really start? Born August 29th in the year 2003, Alex Quezada, also known as Glokk40spaz, was—
this nigga named Alex Quezada. Nigga last name sound like Spanish food, bro.
Born on the east side of Atlanta in a small town known as Decatur. Although he would pretty much end up traveling all throughout the north, southwest, and east side of the Atlanta area, living in places such as Lithonia, Stone Mountain, Rodon, and the place where our story starts being Lawrenceville, which was located in the middle Gwinnett County on the northeast side of the Atlanta area, and is also where Glokk would end up attending both elementary school and middle school. And it's also conveniently the place where Glokk would end up meeting 2 very important people to his story, being both Goona, aka Sumo, and
that's Sumo. Okay, I didn't know who the fuck he was talking about, bro. In the last vid, bro said he was talking about some old head OG and showed a video of some dark skinned nigga who was bald, if I remember correctly, because I feel like I didn't. But if he didn't like say this was him, this nigga has music. I've heard this nigga before. Yo, this nigga's tough too. I ain't gonna lie, these 2 niggas right here, that's a dangerous clique. I ain't gonna lie.
His other close friend known as Baby Solid, or better known at the time as Malachi Juice. And as is the case with a lot of families nowadays, Glock's father sadly wasn't really in the picture. So naturally, he would even spend a lot more time out on the streets with his friends, even joining a local crew which was named after his apartment block number, and his reference on the streets with his friends.
What the fuck is this? What is that, Nicki Minaj merch?
Even joining a local crew which was named after his apartment block number and is referenced quite a lot in his early music, called 1800/3 Pools, which was a group he would run around with a lot as a kid, getting involved in quite a dangerous lifestyle, which led to Glokk eventually getting kicked out of school multiple times throughout his early teen years. And he would even get into quite a bit of legal trouble, going in and out of the juvenile detention center over in Rockdale quite a few times, even catching his first going in and out of the juvenile detention center over in Rockdale.
I've never been to juvie. Why are they frying bacon? They're making this shit looks ass, bro. What the fuck? Get these niggas a stove.
Quite a few times, even catching his first ever felony at only 15 years old. However, thankfully this cycle wouldn't really last forever, because as Glokk started to mature a bit more heading into the 11th grade, he would realize that he really couldn't keep going in and out of juvie forever with no goal in mind. And so, due to Glokk having been surrounded by rap his entire life, with all of his previously mentioned close friends being artists, along with people even inside the detention center inspiring him to rap.
Yeah, cause niggas was just in that bit rapping, like niggas would be at the goddamn table just beating on that bitch, just rapping. And I just had came up, I just started rapping with their ass, and I was just going hard, and I'm like, I'm finna start rapping.
However, he most certainly didn't start off with that signature rapid fire flow he's known for nowadays. He instead would actually start off using an auto-tune based sound, which was pretty much directly influenced by one of his favorite artists at the time, time being D Savage. However, he would pretty quickly realize that this sound just wasn't for him. So he instead would swap his flow to something we're a little more familiar with today, and by making use of both GarageBand and a bean can with a wire attached to the end, he would then end up releasing his first ever track, which was a collab with his previously mentioned friend, Malachi Juice, that released on October 20th of 2018 and was titled as Glokk40spaz.
And my chopper got kickback, grip back, big lock, big straps, cut to the trapper. Is that a fake tattoo, bro? What the This is some little nigga shit, bro. This is some shit only niggas, little niggas. I mean, this is what children should be doing, but fake tattoos.
And as a first release, this track was pretty impressive and would even pick up a little bit of traction thanks to the fan base that Glock's friend Malachi, or Baby Solid, had developed due to working very closely with Roblox YouTuber known as Owen Silva. And I don't know what it is about ATL underground rappers and Roblox, but they just go together, I guess, because a lot of Solid's earliest music would actually be pretty heavily promoted by the same YouTuber. It would even feature a lot of Solid's earliest music in the Roblox movie.
What are you talking about? This goes hard. Oh shit. Maya, Mani. I'm on that. I'm sniping right now. I don't want to try you. I feel like you somebody out of
movies that Owen was releasing at the time, which would inadvertently give both Solid and Glock a pretty decent head start when it came to releasing new music, which Glock would end up taking full advantage of, even deciding to drop out of school due to knowing it wasn't really his path, which would allow him a lot more time to start working on the music, with Glock releasing dozens of new singles over the course of just a few months, like with tracks such as First Day Out,
I popped out with the 30, put 12 on my gun, I'm in love with the trap of my killers, I want been talking to 12, I ain't
Cap or Die.
Which one of y'all having smoke with us? Which one of y'all want to?
Bro, this nigga, I was listening to this shit for the first time, bro. This nigga dead ass had somebody's, bro. This nigga had a whole. Every time I be listening to this shit, somebody like he had an iPhone ring in the background, and I dead check my shit.
So with us, Mr. Drop
and Life on the Line.
Can't fuck with the guy cause we pulling that yacht cause it's like your time. Cause the EBG pulling with yacht cause you know that.
All of which would be hosted on Malachi, aka Baby Solid's SoundCloud account, which would later be renamed and transformed into the official EBG Records SoundCloud page. And if you're curious, EBG, also known as Everyday Bang Gang.
Oh, this shit look tough. Nah, that's dick suck. I gotta get some money, bro. That's what I really gotta do. Feel me? That's what we all gotta do. So let's get some money. Yeah. All members, including
is an important collective / group that consisted of nearly 5 different artists, most of which sadly nowadays, as we are about to go through later into this video, are locked up on various different charges. Which, by the way, BL, also known as Baby Life, is similar to EBG, being that it's mostly just a name that a lot of the folks close to Glock would rep, but it had a few extra names in it, which we will talk about later. But getting back on track, due to the area that Glock was raised in, along with his close friend, Baby Solid, it wouldn't be long before the two would start allegedly repping a known as 4CH, also known as the Four Corner Hustlers, which is a that has its roots tied mainly in the Midwest and Chicago.
Is he blurring out gang? You can say that, bro. Nobody's pulling up at your door. That's not federal. You're making a whole video about this shit. That's federal.
With almost little to no presence in the ATL region. However, there is still allegedly quite a few different 4CH members on the east side of Atlanta, which is likely where Glock and his friend would get put on, which is mostly thanks to an infamous member of 4CH known as Angelo Roberts, who would actually be the person to bring 4CH down to Atlanta and would even get a few tracks dedicated to his name by Glock, with tracks such as Long Live King Low.
If you think you a shooter, little nigga, come try me, I got it, a jam for no kind of body.
And Angelo Jr.
Bitch, I'm bang gang, I don't give a fuck about no stank. Give a fuck what you think, give a fuck what you think on the block with it.
Making a lot of different references to the clique, such as the Playboy Bunny, Top Hat, Dropping Rakes, and this would also be around the same time when Malachi Juice, aka Baby Solid, would make his name change, which in itself is also a reference to the Solid Four Corner Hustler set, which they would end up repping quite a lot over the next few years. But to be honest, Glock at this point in early 2019 was only really just getting started with the music. It wouldn't really start to get his own wave until the release of his first ever tape, which released on June 16th of 2019 and was titled as Don't Get Took Off 1, which featured classic tracks like Cut Like Me.
2019, I got sent to the swoop. I was told them Glocks, I ain't know how to shoot. Put a pistol on, don't make his ass take a poop.
Home Alone.
I was trying, baby, hop out the minivan. Folk got to hit it, man. Edit bitch out the skirt all like a Hellcat. Phone no duck, caught him a body, no chit chat.
And Dope Hole.
The person stuck in the dope hole, not the city.
I ain't gonna lie, this is one of his top 5 best songs of all time. I ain't gonna lie, I'm stamping it.
All of which would stream decently impressive numbers at the time, along with the tape also getting hosted by a legendary underground music page called Trap Daily, who would host this tape and also give it a pretty big boost numbers wise, alongside also releasing a bunch of different classic exclusives such as BLS.
Back on the south side, naked straight. But my brother got hit with that baby like said. I don't ride with this.
The fuck does he think he is? Nigga with this Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 ass picture, bro. All these pictures, all three of these pictures was took with a phone and a nigga just doing some dumb shit. This nigga set this shit up in the mirror. This nigga ready to die for this shit.
The high table.
1800 put the sticks on your way. Then they all gon' crash. Grab the pistol, get that shit in my mouth. Don't nobody come around with 1800.
And mentally gone.
Niggas say spat at crazy. Damn, I really meant break. Big B's on the real, ayy, bang.
Oh, this is crazy though. This song is tough, but this is crazy. This nigga smoking on a. This shit look like an elevator, bro. He's smoking on a this nigga rolled up in an elevator or a library, and fuck on nigga got his Zog, got all types of wool hair and shit.
However, it wouldn't be until early 2020, at the start of the pandemic, when Glokk would really start to put his foot on the gas. Along with Glokk starting to get a lot more connections in the music scene, and even connecting with quite a well-known ATL artist who you'll probably remember from my last video, being Sofego. And although they wouldn't officially release any music together, it would give Glock's name a pretty decent boost, which would be put to good use with the release of one of Glock's first known music videos, being a video for Home Alone, which released on July 9th of 2020 and would be a pretty big moment in Glock's career, with Glokk linking up with some of the biggest names in the underground at the time, with names such as DJ Renacy, Flu Honchos, and even Doo-Wop Kane being at the shoot for the video, which as mentioned
that's Kane right there. I was right then. I said it. I said I think that's Doo-Wop. It was Doo-Wop. What is this nigga looking at? Oh, why does he look so fucking jolly? Now that nigga will probably take my. Who is? Yeah, these niggas will take my life in a second. Let me.
Pretty big deal to be getting co-signed by such established artists in the scene.
It's all love
and it wouldn't just stop at co-signs, because not too long after the link, Glokk would start working very closely with the previously mentioned RSG artist named Flu Honchos, where they would collect.
Why did he show a picture of Slime Cito then?
On tracks such as Twin Glocks, running some shots, and Stuck. And at this point, Glock's name was really starting to hold some weight in the underground scene. With his connections to multiple different sides of the underground, it would help to get him even further connected with people like DJ Fat and also well-known RSG producers such as 2Times, Sensei ATL, and even later down the line, El Chapo. But also around the same time, another nowadays very well-known producer, being OK, would reach out to Glokk and end up producing two of his biggest tracks at the time, being both beneficial for anybody.
My brother told him pick up the phone. This shit beneficial for anybody. I can get him knocked off.
I don't know, bro. Like this beat is mad wacky. Like I like it. It sounds good, but it's like it's different. That's what I'll say. It's not for me.
And also Land of the Living. Both of which would end up putting even more eyes on Glokk, which he would respond to by dropping more singles, music videos, and even doing his first ever interview, when really only ever interview, in November of 2020. And finally, with all of the hype building up, he would end up reaching out to a frequent producer of his known as Glokk, and they would end up working together and releasing a tape fully produced by Glow, which released on December 20th in the year 2020 and has arguably some of his best work to date, under the name of Don't Get Took Off Too, with tracks such as Thug Life,
Don't cut to the block cause you dog got no face card. I my body covered up my scar, and I got my pistol out the
EBG Massacre.
We having them dead AK. It's 100 round drum on the drink.
I ain't gonna lie, arguably his best song. I mean, no. Yeah, arguably. I ain't gonna lie.
Like niggas posted up in Crystal Lake.
And Diamondback.
Chopper icing on my watch. Got to the beat, y'all pull up in that drop top. 9-5 shooter punching in that car.
All of which were being received extremely well at the time, and it would really set Glokk up to start seeing some serious numbers, which he would act on by putting even more effort into taking his music seriously by releasing music videos for tracks like Thug Life and Still Young Pablo, along with releasing behind the scenes vlogs for video shoots, which would kind of show people around Glock's hood over in Stone Mountain, which is a place that Glokk references a lot in his music, talking about
What the fuck is this, bro?
people around Glock's hood over in Stone Mountain.
big ass nigga, bro. Oh, that's a child.
Which is a place that Glokk references a lot in his music, talking about places
bro,
like
that
South
nigga like
Harrison
26,
Road
bro.
and more infamously Crystal Lakes, also known as the Swamp, which is actually an area just off Laney Farm Road where Glokk would shoot.
Is this what he meant? This is where he's. What are you doing?
A lot of
this is where he's taking niggas. This shit don't even got the logo, bro. How the fuck niggas gonna know where I'm at? Hell no. So you saying niggas just walk in here like phantoms of the night?
earliest music videos. However, not too long after Glokk started really taking the music seriously, on July 2nd, 2021, he would end up getting involved in an armed carjacking of a C300 Mercedes-Benz that took place in a city just north of Atlanta called Milton, where supposedly, according to the Milton Police Department, Glokk, Veli, and 3 other dudes who all knew the victim beforehand would end up kicking or pulling the victim out of the car, physically assaulting him, and then driving off in his Benz, where they remained on the run for a little over 4 weeks until July 25th of 2021, where Glokk would be arrested at his friend's house along with a childhood friend / baby life member mentioned earlier, being Stunna, who would apparently try to dip out of the back of the house but would eventually be caught by the police canines who would end up biting and puncturing his left leg and right arm. And although they would both be booked that same day with Glokk not providing any statements to the police, his quote-unquote friends on the other hand would end up going in for questioning and giving a full interview and statement talking about growing up with Glokk, why he was at the house. I'll just leave part of it up on the screen if you want to read all of it. And
wait, hold on. He got snitched on?
Friends on the other hand would end up going in for questioning and giving a full interview and statement talking about growing up.
You mean a DJ Flad
up with Glokk, why he was at the house. I'll just leave part.
All this? This is crazy, bro. This is an essay. This is what you need to turn in on Monday when you got school. Like, this is crazy. You got this shit highlighted. They know what the fuck. And this shit is highlighted in sections. They know what the fuck they. Yeah, bro.
Part of it up on the screen if you want to read.
Oh, no. They got this nigga name and everything. Yeah, he's assed out. You're assed
all
out,
in all,
pal.
this whole situation would end up landing Glokk in Fulton County Jail, also known as Wright Street, on charges of aggravated assault, armed robbery, hijacking a motor vehicle, possession of a firearm or knife, along with 3 different charges from the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. However, even though he was going through a rough time, his team would end up coming through and releasing a 3rd tape on his behalf, which released only 4 days after his booking on July 29th of 2021, which was a project fully produced by the producer mentioned earlier, being 2 Times, and it was titled as 2 Glocks. And it released with classic tracks such as Definition, Not a Believer, and also Free Sumo.
I don't like this song as much. Like, I think this is his not his biggest, or maybe it is one of his biggest songs, like in terms of his like clout and whatnot. I ain't gonna lie, this song isn't that good to me, bro. Like, it's cool, but it's like, I don't know. He definitely has better tracks. That's what I like.
Which is one of the most popular tracks on this tape and relates back to an EBG member mentioned earlier, being Gowanna, also known as Sumo. Sumo was, like most people in EBG, being a pretty talented artist, having dropped a few tapes and even done quite a few singles with most of the artists in his circle. Being a pretty talented artist, having dropped a few tapes and even done quite a few singles with most of the artists in his circle. However, sadly, on June 7th of 2021, Sumo would end up being locked up for the malice murder of a man known as Tavon Jones, which according to the DCOB police department went something like this. Sumo would just simply set up a drug deal and they would end up just robbing and killing Tavon. That's it. But there are stories online that, let me just be clear, are pure speculation that say it went a bit differently. Some say Tavon just tried to run off from the deal and got caught. Others say Vaughn was in the car with someone else who was looking for just a random plug to rob and then just tried the wrong one. And the last narrative I've seen is that Tavon actually tried pulling a gun on Sumo but froze up, and as you could tell, it didn't go too well. Which would make sense unless you add in the different messaging that would appear in both Glock's and Baby Solid's later music, with tracks like Vaughn Don't Matter, On One, and especially EBG up in this bitch, where Solid would go on to name drop both Tavon and his cousin Takoba.
Niggas ain't never gonna stop for Tavon. Ain't got no up in a minute, so I'm having with my gotta face out when it's at try speed. Hey, fuck your cuz nigga ain't seen him, we gonna see him again.
To which I got no comments. But it's not all bad, because Glokk would later say that his charges have
What's up with y'all Atlanta niggas and no haircuts?
To which I got no comments.
Nah,
but
bro, I can't let this slide, bro. This shit is off, bro. Slime Cheeto still had a worse one, so clearly I gotta keep. This is gonna be a trend I see. This shit go like, woo, 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 woo. Shit got a slope.
It's not all bad
because
because
off, bro. I can't stop, bro.
Glokk would later say that his charges have possibly been reduced to manslaughter instead of malice, which, if true, could be pretty big to him eventually getting out soon. So if that man's innocent,
he might get
free
out.
Sumo. But sadly, that's not the only tragic thing that would end up happening at this time, because not too long after Sumo got locked up, the closest person Glokk had to a little brother, being Lil EBG, would end up getting locked up on the accidental murder of his own sister. Wilson Scott, also known as Lil EBG, was born September 11th in the year 2008, making him only 10 to 11 years old when he would first end up meeting Glokk and the rest of EBG over on the north side of Atlanta in the previously mentioned city being Lawrenceville. But growing up, Lil EBG was pretty much already struggling in the schooling system, going in and out and getting kicked out multiple times out of multiple different schools, with Lil EBG getting in a lot of different fights before he even had the chance to get into high school. And that problem would only get notably worse after his dad would end up getting locked up in 2017 on sexual battery charges against a minor, which would leave Lil EBG's family pretty much isolated, with it just being him, his mom, and his sister Kyra, until he would eventually end up meeting Glokk, who would quickly take notice of just how grown Lil EBG was for his age and would eventually even end up taking him under his wing.
Tell me like he 12. Man, that Lil EBG, man, that young nigga, bro. That's a different nigga, bro. Like when you talk to him, like bring him, I'm gonna let you talk to him by yourself. That's a real, like he on some grown man shit. On my mama, he's not no little boy.
I'm treating him pretty much just like family, with Lil EBG appearing in music videos, studio sessions, and he would even start rapping after being inspired by Glokk, with Lil EBG even recording his first few songs on Glock's same setup, with tracks like
I wasn't really jacking like that whole EP, whatever the fuck that shit was, mixtape. It was cool though. They had a couple.
I fell too fast in the fucking gun case. Mom told me make sure every blunt not lace. Pop around, get me shot to make sure that's straight.
Along with Lil EBG also featuring on Glock's previously mentioned 2 Glocks tape and Baby Solid's Kilo Bin Laden tape, all of which showed he had some pretty obvious inspiration from Glokk, which wasn't a bad thing because being so well connected with Glokk would get Lil EBG connected with an artist who had a massive buzz at the time, being Baby Santana. And with Tana wanting to show some love, he would end up hopping on the opening track to Lil EBG's first ever mixtape, which released on August 27th of 2021 and was titled as Coulda Been Worse, which featured tracks such as
Holocaust. So tall, what the fuck? Nah, she probably like 5'5", bro. That's how he look at life.
This nigga
just learned about this.
Can't fuck with us.
This shit is funny.
I had told you ass once, many nigga, they can't even fuck with us. Try me, I pop on my episode.
And Red Nose Clown featuring Tana. And not only would Tana hop on a feature with Lil EBG, he would also end up bringing him out on stage for his performance at the SoundCloud Next Wave Festival, where he would do an interview and would also end up recording even more new music with Tana, which would go on to be received extremely well. However, less than a month after the festival, on November 21st of 2021, Lil EBG would, as previously mentioned, get locked up on the accidental shooting of his sister Kyra. Lil EBG would, as previously mentioned, get locked up.
Oh, there's probably some jail shit. Jail? This nigga's in juvie. Who the fuck is he around? 30-year-old? Bro, this nigga... All right,
on the accidental shooting of his sister Kyra, which according to the Douglas County Police Department went like this. Lil EBG, being so young, was looking for just about any way to make bread that he could. And so he would eventually get into building and selling quote-unquote ghost guns, which is really just a scary name for what is basically 80% of a developed firearm. Or, technically speaking, pieces of plastic that are 80% complete and therefore not legally classified as a firearm by the ATF. Which means that a lot of these quote-unquote guns can be put together typically with gun part kits that can either be bought online with a credit card.
Oh, I thought this should say $80.
Or just 3D.
Why is it on sale?
Printed at home, which is perfectly legal depending on your state. And that also means that you can pretty easily, with only a few tools, build a fully functional lower half of a firearm that can't be traced through any serial numbers. And although you're not supposed to be able to get access to these kind of things when you're either a felon or under 21, that doesn't mean it's not possible, which is where our story starts. With Lil EBG somehow or some way getting these parts shipped to his house and then crafting and redistributing these guns to buyers. That was until 2 men, one of which who was later identified as Yusuf MacArthur, would end up up trying to rob Lil EBG. And basically what happened was when Yusuf was supposed to hand over the money for the gun, he instead lunged at the kid, got him in a headlock, stole the gun, and then ran for the door. In which, after Lil EBG was out of the headlock and saw Yusuf heading for the door, he would then end up reaching and grabbing a spare loaded 9mm handgun and firing multiple shots in Yusuf's direction, which would sadly instead end up striking his 14-year-old sister Kyra in the right side of her chest. A few minutes later, the Douglas County Police Department received an emergency call claiming a little girl had been shot. And as panic was setting in while on the phone with the police, they realized they didn't have much time to just sit around and wait for an ambulance to come. So instead, they loaded the little girl into the back of the car and drove 2 minutes around the corner to the nearest Marathon gas station, which is when Lil EBG would get out of the car, pull his sister out onto the pavement, and start begging and crying for anyone around him to help. But it was far too late. The police arrived only 5 minutes later and loaded her into the ambulance, where Kyra, at only 14 years old, would end up passing away on her way to the hospital. And Lil EBG, while still in obvious shock, admitted to shooting his sister and would end up later being charged with a felony murder. And would also be getting tried as an adult due to the laws in Georgia. Although, over the last week or so of me making this video, it has actually been confirmed that Lil EBG has had his murder charges dropped and will only be serving a little under 2 more years, to which he will remain on probation for the remainder of his sentence. But
I genuinely hope like this nigga life get better or some shit, bro. This nigga shit is crazy. Now it's just him and his mom's for real, bro. That's dead ass it.
But that's not all, because Lil EBG's mom would also end up
this nigga, I can't. Oh my god.
charges, possession of a controlled substance, and obviously second-degree child cruelty, along with the person who robbed Lil EBG.
Oh, she was trapping with her. Wait, that's what it was. It was trapping. She was trapping with EBG.
Yusuf, thankfully being charged with robbery by snatching and also murder, since the robbery he committed would end up leading to the accidental murder of Kyra Scott. And it also just goes without saying, but long live Kyra and free Lil EBG. And while all of what I just mentioned was happening, Glokk was still be in Fulton County Jail awaiting trial for his previously mentioned charges. That was until he would end up running into an old friend of his while inside jail, being a man known as Glokk40spaz, who, by the way, is a really quick side.
The fuck? Is how y'all coming in prison? Jail? Jail? Not even what the fuck? Nah, y'all niggas in prison got full on swords, katanas. These niggas got snacks in a bed. Nah, this shit look ass. I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what this is for. These niggas is fly as fuck though. For like some prison drip, I give it up. Fulton, y'all got it. I know y'all got Sunday's best type shit, but this is still crazy. Imagine a nigga walk down on you with yo, bro, this is like, what do you do? Like, who are you killing with this, bro? Like, the Hawk? Shaq? Like, I don't.
Side note, was in with Glokk at the time for multiple armed robberies, aggravated assaults, prison escapes, and even the 2019 rape of a 54-year-old woman, which he did in broad daylight after only being out on bond for a few hours, which he would later be convicted and sentenced for until his eventual release date of 2046. And look, I try to just give backgrounds on artists on this
Nah, bro, lock him up.
Channel, but Glokk shouting this guy out as much as he does in his music is just
he don't know. He just doesn't know. That's the only excuse I can give him. He just didn't hear about any of that shit. That's it.
It's insane to me. I get people will say they're all criminals, so who cares? But if you're being even like slightly realistic, there is a big drastic difference in mindsets between street crimes and like whatever the hell this motherfucker got going on. But nonetheless, Glokk40spaz would be the man that would allegedly
I'm taking pictures. Who the fuck put that heart there? The fuck? Why are you taking pictures with this nigga, bro? This shit looks bad. I mean, this nigga got a record like, are those Cartiers? This nigga got Cartier.
put Glokk onto a he's quite well known.
Go to prison, bro. You get all the drip. I swear.
GF,
Go to
also known as Goodfellas. This clique is located in the 9th and 10th ward of Atlanta, but is most well known as a prison that was originally created in the exact place where Glokk was awaiting trial, being Fulton County Jail, aka Rice Street. And due to Glokk already having connections with the previously mentioned GF member, Glokk40spaz, he would end up dropping 4CH and begin tying his image very closely to GF, getting a full-length tattoo across his chest and referencing the group in his music pretty damn heavily, with names like Mob, 7-6, Whoa, Third World, and 10 letters all appearing in the music and being different names or closely tied to GF. And yes, for all the TikTokians, this is the same 7-6 that Baby Kia disses and get GF.
What the fuck is 7-6?
Turn this off. Not my car.
However, just to be clear, a lot of the disses that happen are directed towards the GFs or hard bodies on the west side near Adamsville, and it doesn't directly have too much to do with Glokk. He likely, like most GF members, only really gets involved when he's inside jail, which thankfully wouldn't be for too much longer. Because on January 12th of 2022, Glokk would end up getting bonded out of jail and would hit the ground running. With Glokk coming fresh out of jail and having a lot to say, he would go on to release arguably some of his best and deepest work yet. With Glokk talking about a lot of the real life situations we've already talked about, such as the whole Lil EBG situation, grieving Kyra, talking about Sumo, Satan, and even early pieces of his life, which he would even do on one of my personal favorite Glokk tracks titled We Never Win.
Only thing that I wanted to make me look prouder or better man. Now I got a dance that I won't see again. Now I got a bitch that I might.
And right around the same time, Glokk would also end up getting in contact with a legendary producer who would go on to produce some of his biggest tracks to date, being OK. And they would start the year off with some heat, releasing tracks like Goodfellas,
Young nigga push up on gunning shit. You was so hard, why the fuck you start running beat? I gotta get to the money quick.
All You Need,
Young niggas switching like Bumblebee. I'm claiming this shit cause I'm 30. Baby, I straight had it for you.
and Two Love to the Mob.
Ever since I was little, I wanna grow up, be a vampire. Cut niggas out till they got no more fight. No Illuminati, I just wanna see out of.
Those all sucked.
Which would only be the beginning of what would go on to be Glock's biggest year yet, with Glokk even hosting Doo-Wop Kane's 2-track EP titled Free Lil EBG, which would receive big support from Glock's fanbase, along with yet again even more singles, with tracks like Virgo City,
Wipe it, no, take his chain. But pilot up, pop the nigga, double down with that fat out of motherfucker, walk through that flame. Loaded up, pop.
Shane Battier,
Bad bitch with me, she a Rolling Stone. Shoot up your damn block, party get postponed. Put that boy down, walk, busted that two-tone. I measured a walk with it.
and even my 2022 single of the year being I Choose Violence.
I'm on the east side of my main vibe, my main thing. I got my blick hanging on my packet and my shirt hanging. I get a stick on me when I'm whacking, nigga catch a flame.
Different color.
And not only was Glokk releasing a crazy amount of singles, but he would also end up releasing a full 13-track collab tape with his close friend Baby Solid that was fully hosted by DJ Renaissy and was titled as Gone Mad, which featured tracks such as BL4L.
You ain't no street nigga, heard you told it on your game. We got some in traffic, we snatching it chain. We got that special.
What the fuck is this? Valley, bro? Nobody. Spaz is not that dark. I'm looking at this shit confused as fuck. I'm like, who the fuck is this?
Leonardo da Vinci,
No BFO, I got my time. I don't want no recruit, so why niggas switch sides? Yeah, but I know some nigga bang fast.
and Biggest Dawn.
I don't know why he didn't put Chronicles up here. Like, it was one. I ain't gonna lie. Chronicles is arguably his deepest song. I would have put that up here, bro.
Which would all be quickly followed up by his first full release of the year, which released on April 2nd of 2022 and was titled as Baby Whoa, which came in at just over 20 tracks long and featured easily some of Glock's cleanest sounds up until that point, with tracks like Wish 'Em Well,
Bang gang, fucking block of the cock up on it. Bang gang, shoot your block of this, stop blocking it. Up to the 30 clip, they tell me.
Hold on.
Video Play,
She go fuck when y'all boy, man, they holding they pick. I trap from on that bullet, that nigga with wicked.
and Thoughts While Incarcerated.
Spin that car with that fives, I just like Tokyo drill. Bang, I can never go out like a silk. That drink hit it face.
Which would be followed up only a month later by a full-length plug and beat project that was fully hosted by underground legend DJ Fat and was titled as Spaz and B, which featured tracks such as the previously mentioned Von Don't Matter,
Gang nigga like a relay. He said it's roll with him all, nigga eat fake like damn cheese.
Sick as Fuck,
Yeah, nigga he said he want smoke. Nigga I'm on what you think you're on. I forgot my.
and Spring Fling.
Me ain't hang with no fake gangsta, I ain't even moving like that. How you get your.
Why did he not put on Spaz and B? I mean, whatever the Spaz and Blues, whatever the You So Bad.
And this project would do a
was
really
tough.
good job of mainly showing off Glock's versatility. And it would also end up exposing him to a different side of the underground, with Glokk slowly drifting away from that ATL underground trap scene and transitioning into having a wider reach into the newer generation of underground music. However, his growth wouldn't really come until he ended up quitting a dead-end job that he was working at the time after one of
There's no... Damn, this nigga's a hustler for real. This nigga is working a job, trapping, rapping. subtracting.
His close friends told him that if he really put his all into the music, he could take it to the next level, which is exactly what he did, with Glokk quitting his job and in turn fully devoting his attention to the music. And it's safe to say that it was most.
I want to know where this nigga worked, bro. Because if I, yo, it'd have been the funniest shit if this nigga worked at like Burger King or some shit. And then as soon as he leave, he got like a 9mm on it. Nah, niggas live that life. I don't know how.
With Glokk filming tons of music videos, vlogs, and even performing at his first ever show in Atlanta, which was then followed up by arguably one of the greatest stretches of singles in Glock's whole career, with tracks like I'm in a Band.
Nigga just said they gon' kill me, that boy got me bent. Hop in a motherfucking Bentley with jelly and Draco.
Remember Me?
Don't worry about my business, I handle it. I took a watch off, it's an avalanche. I take his ass off, I'll give it.
And a personal favorite of mine being 111.
Been through more than just pain. Lil Glokk, I done snapped more shit than just a chain.
Which was sadly released after Glock's soon-to-be baby mama would end up having a miscarriage. And to be honest with you,
what the fuck? Oh man, I wouldn't have said that. I don't know, but that's damn. That's gonna just kill my vibe. Everything about this video is this nigga life hella depressing, bro. Like, I ain't had the easiest life, but like there's been like hot, like this nigga ain't said shit positive, but like musical heights. Talk about this nigga like winning a fight or like getting first on like track or some shit, or hitting like I don't know, winning dice a little too much one day. Damn, tell us, damn.
Pain and effort that Glokk was putting into these songs, he just couldn't miss. And the craziest part, this is only 3 of the nearly 50 plus different singles that Glokk released all within the span of just a few months, with Glokk still primarily working with EBG and BL members such as Veli, Baby Solid, and he would also start to work with newer members such as both Hellboy and a personal favorite of mine being Demon K, aka DK, who he would arguably give some of his best features to, such as Intent to Kill, Gunshot, and obviously 20K. Although, sadly, due to DK having unconfirmed snitching allegations spring up from his past relating to when he was wrongfully shot, he would sadly end up being unofficially let go from BL. Although, just to be clear, he is still on good terms with pretty much everyone at EBG. Which, speaking of, he would also around this time even start to work with artists outside of his scene who were popping at the time, working with people like Young Chris, Cash Dami, and even Lil Tracy, with Glokk being willing to work with almost any artist from any scene if it was going to expose him to a new audience. With a lot of these tracks, both new and old, starting to get a very noticeable buzz from everyone's favorite app being TikTok, which for better or for worse would pretty much end up changing Glock's career over the span of just a few months, with more popular tracks such as Free Sumo, Be Right Back, Brutal Honesty, and obviously Bad Man, all doing just
I ain't gonna lie, Brutal Honesty, top 10 track. That's one I ain't gonna lie.
Insane numbers over on TikTok, which would be followed up by one of his biggest and most polished releases yet, which released on August 12th of 2022, being titled as Don't Get Took Off 3. And this project would be received extremely well with tracks such as Come Catch Me,
What up, pan, nigga? Tryna go catch me a nigga out late.
Muzzle,
Nigga not stunning that shit that you talking about. Hellcat try hard in the street, nigga flip phone. Real kind with G30.
and I Slay Bitches.
Praying on nigga, we went to the tiger hunt just to get scraped. Big ass Draco, we made it up truck, nigga run for their life.
And this is really one of Glock's first projects where it felt like you could definitely feel the increases in quality with both the production and the engineering, most of which was thanks to the previously mentioned producer, Al Chapo, who would end up pretty much living in the studio along with Glokk, helping him to record countless different tracks that would help him build up a pretty solid backlog of music, which sadly, as you probably could have guessed, would end up being put to use due to Glokk being arrested only one day after his birthday on August 30th of 2022 on charges of aggravated assault, armed robbery, possession of a firearm with intent to commit certain crimes, and finally, unlawful entry into a vehicle. All of which allegedly, according to the Gwinnett County PD, went something like this. At around 12 o'clock in the afternoon, Alex, aka Glokk, would post on a Snapchat story asking who was in the area and wanting to do a fan meetup. To which our alleged victim, who we'll call Timmy, replied saying he was in the area and wanting to meet his favorite rapper. And luckily enough, Glokk would reply telling the lucky fan that he had won the meetup. And he would next ask the fan to send his location, to which the fan would reply saying that they could meet at a local Quick Trip gas station located at 2900 Buford Drive. So then both parties would leave, heading for the
rob your fan. What's up with niggas? Imagine that was Aiden Ross. That'd have been crazy.
Gas station,
that
and Timmy would actually even
all
end up
been
picking
live.
up another friend who we'll call Jimmy so that they could meet their favorite rapper together. And when Timmy and Jimmy got to the gas station, Glokk would actually call them and decide to move the fan meetup next door over to an empty parking lot of a storage facility, to which the excited fans would agree. And as they pulled up into the empty parking lot and parked their car, two men, being both Glokk and one unnamed perpetrator, would sneak into the back seats of their car and hold the two fans at gunpoint, demanding them to give them all of their money. Is what I would say if I had a 3rd grade reading comprehension. If you actually read through this report and use any kind of context clues outside of what's just on the paper, it's extremely obvious that these are not fans who were looking forward to meeting their favorite rapper, and is instead just plugs who didn't want to admit to the police that they were there to sell. And for some reason, a lot of people who just don't know or don't care how to read just jumped on the narrative that Glokk was talking to Jimmys and Timmys and inviting them to do meetups and hangouts and then just like robbing them at gunpoint. Which, let me get one thing straight: robbing anyone at gunpoint.
Damn, he was. Damn, I ain't gonna lie, that's tough. Them niggas is smart. I ain't gonna lie, them niggas is smart. I ain't gonna lie. That's I ain't gonna lie, he played me with that one too. I was about to say, this nigga robbing white people. My fault. I'm not racist. That sounded crazy. This nigga that's them niggas is smart. I'll give it up. That's both of y'all niggas to get booked, and that's what y'all go with. That's smart. I ain't gonna lie. That's
defendable, no. Especially when Glokk had
them niggas was probably like 6'12", and all black, ski masked up, with 2 questionably legal weapons, because you know they down south. Talk about some, yeah, he's just my favorite rapper. And then they dapped up the cop with some gang shit too.
pretty much the full focus of the underground on him at the time. It just made like literally 0 sense to do this. But also to act like these are just fans is just beyond goofy. But what isn't goofy is the sentence that this could potentially leave Glokk with. Due to the case mentioned earlier where Glokk was arrested on carjacking and armed robbery charges, for him to then get let out on bail and then reoffend on the same charge less than 8 months later is just like an insanely bad look, and could potentially leave Glokk looking at like a sentence of up to 20+ years if found completely guilty of both armed robbery charges, due mainly to the strict Georgia law surrounding the conviction, which honestly seems a little
I heard niggas in Georgia, they just be kicking in doors. Niggas don't even be trying. I heard that, yeah. So them niggas is used to this. Alright, yeah. Fuck, bro, that's heavy, bro. I mean, at least they just dropped an album, right? But still, like,
insane to me. I don't want this to come off as special treatment for celebrities when I say this, but I really do hope that Glokk can beat these charges, because as he stated in quite a few of his recent jail interviews, he does have plans to try to separate himself from the streets of ATL and moving to a place just out of state like Cali so that he can fully focus on the music and stop getting caught up in this same constant cycle of crime. But I also would be lying if I said Glokk getting locked up didn't help his career, at least in the short term, because over the next few months heading into the new year of 2023,
nigga like had no promotion behind half of these, like probably like a couple repo. Nigga, all of TikTok just like, that's how you know you would. That's all I be saying. He's a good artist. I don't think he's like I'll be jacking him, bro. He's a good artist, bro.
Glock's career and Spotify numbers would 6x from 20K monthly listeners on the day of his arrest all the way to nearly 120,000 before the end of the year, which was partly thanks to the rumors circulating around that Glokk was joining Playboi Carti's collective Opium, which was originally teased on Glock's IG story, with him posting a screenshot of Opium's A&R, Jay, also known as Opium Baby, reaching out to Glokk, funnily enough in the same way that he reached out to Lone, which was then a few months later followed up by Jay tweeting out and teasing his signing even further, pretty much making everyone sure that Glokk had officially signed his soul over to the gay vamps. But then only a few days later, Glokk would go live on IG with his girl behind the camera talking to him about the Opium signee rumors, which Glokk would pretty much officially shut down on camera, along with Homicide Bino even replying to the previously mentioned Opium Baby tweet, calling him out for saying just pretty much anything. And it's really no secret or surprise that Glokk isn't a fan of Carti's, having directly dissed him in previous songs released even before Jay reached out to Glokk, which this is probably going to be the most confusing part of the video, so let's just slowly go over the storylines, starting with the first storyline, being that Glokk doesn't—
Damn, this nigga know everything. Word up, bro. That whole other video, that nigga did not tell me like, there was so much more he was supposed to go into. I might delete that whole reaction, because this nigga is educating me on what, like, he just said that he dissed Playboi Carti and that was it. And like a couple screenshots.
Fuck with Carti because of Carti's notorious beef with a man known as Ola Runts, who's a member of an ATL called the Henchmen, which, without diving too deep into the weeds, has some serious issues with the group Carti associates with, being Homicide Gang. And one theory is that Glokk doesn't fuck with Cardi due to having some type of unknown connection with Ola Runtz, with Glokk having shouted out Ola on IG Live before and even liked quite a few of his older IG posts. But the counter to this theory is that Glokk actually has no connection to Ola or henchmen like whatsoever, and in reality is just trying to troll Homicide Bino and Wanna due to them having some kind of personal beef over a chick that happened a little bit before the Opium rumors, which also holds water because of the countless amount of personal trolling Glokk has done towards Homicide, with his friends even going as far as to diss R5, which is sadly a deceased Homicide member. But at the end of the day, we're all on the internet, so we really don't know shit. And I personally think that either way, Glokk signing to Opium would have been a pretty bad thing in the long run. Because although
he would have just been like a weirdo, because that's all they are really are. I'm gonna die by that. They're just weirdos in black. Like, these are like hood niggas in black. Those are just weirdos. I'm not gonna lie. And to see this nigga musical talents, to have him just start moaning behind insanely loud beats, that's not cool. That's
would have been good in the short term for Glokk to sign to Cardi and probably would have given him a massive spike in listeners for a minute. I think that looking at it full picture wise, Glokk really wouldn't have been able to capitalize fully on the hype while being incarcerated. And plus, as we all know, when you sign under an artist label, no matter who it is, you will always by default be bottlenecking your career a little bit and will almost always have to fight to get out of certain boxes, which you'll always get put into. Which wouldn't be a problem for Glokk because only a few weeks after the Opium controversy, he would end up announcing his official decision to sign to a pretty well-known record label, being Columbia Records, which would end up being a label.
I was gonna say he was gonna retire. I don't know why. I was
all Glock's releases going forward and would help Glokk from behind bars to reach some of his biggest achievements yet. With like Glokk arguably being one of the most consistent artists in the scene while pretty much not even being able to touch a mic. With Glokk releasing pre-recorded music videos, vaulted singles, and even a full 14-track compilation tape, which released with some of Glock's biggest SoundCloud hits and pretty much just like moved him over onto streaming platforms, which would help expose a lot of Glock's newer fan base to some true gems while at the same time getting his fan base ready for his next full-length release, which would end up coming out with almost little to no announcement prior on September 8th of 2023 and would be titled as Took the Biggest Risk.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, there was like one song in this album I like. I don't think whatever he was trying to do here is the sound I like. This just sounded like Bad Man and however many tracks just all over. Maybe I have to re-listen to it, because I did it. I really don't be listening to albums for real. I just give it one listen to and see whatever songs I like. But this shit, I just remember it sounding like Bad Man in every track. Bad Man's not a bad song, but they were not better than Bad Man.
Would, despite not even having a proper release date or any promo, go on to chart in the top 25 rap albums of the week, leaving us where Glokk is today, having arguably some of the most potential in the whole scene, but not being able to realize it due to the situation. And although I am pretty hyped for this next Osama collab tape and other projects, truth is Glokk won't really be able to realize his potential until he gets out. So with that said, it goes without saying, but obviously, free Glokk. Video over.
Yeah, free Brody. Turn this shit off. Yeah, free Brody, bro. Alright, YouTube. Learn a little bit. Way more than we did with the fucking other video about a nigga I think has actual talent in the rap game. I have a couple of the videos I'm gonna drop whenever I feel like it. I'm gonna catch y'all.